right, section 5.2, the types of blood vessels. There are 3 types of blood vessels: arteries, veins, and capillaries. The arteries are going to be responsible for carrying blood away from the heart. The capillaries are responsible for the exchange of materials inside of the tissues, whereas the veins are going to be carrying the blood back to the heart. So we're going to go through each one of these individually, starting with the heart, starting with the arteries. The arteries are thick muscular vessels that carry blood away from the heart towards the body tissues. And that's going to be made up of multiple layers. The first layer, the innermost very thin layer, is called the endothelium. The middle layer is going to be made up of elastic fibers. It's going to allow the artery to stretch. It's also going to be lined with smooth muscle, which allows the artery to contract. The outermost layer is going to be made up of connective tissue. This is what anchors the artery in place inside of the body. Now, the aorta is going to be the body's main artery. You may also be familiar with the term pulse. Pulse is simply a pressure wave that is created by the alternate expansion and contraction of the arteries. So as blood is pulsing through or pumping through those arteries, the artery will expand and contract with the wave of blood. This is due to those elastic and muscular fibers in the middle layer of the artery. So this is going to move along the arteries with each heart rate, and the pulse rate is the same as your heart rate. This is why you can measure your heart rate at various pulse points throughout the body, like at the wrist, or the neck, or even at the temples. An aneurysm occurs when the wall of an artery is weakened and swells outward. An aneurysm in and of itself doesn't cause a problem. However, there is a risk that it will burst. That burst aneurysm can cause massive and rapid blood loss or internal bleeding, which can be life-threatening. If it does not burst, then it can still form life-threatening clots. So it is still a very dangerous situation to have. Aneurysms can be treated. Typically, they'll have to be surgically repaired. So there you go. An aneurysm is a homeostatic imbalance of the blood vessels. That's one thing that we are going to point out throughout the rest of this, or throughout this semester, is we're going to be looking at homeostatic imbalances. These are going to be diseases, disorders, pathogens, infections, anything that takes the body away from its normal levels of health and happiness. So you're going to see these brought up. I would like you to be familiar with homeostatic imbalances. They may appear in essay form or on our quizzes and exams. So there you go. An aneurysm is a homeostatic imbalance of the artery. Arterioles, these are sort of the very smallest of the arteries. These are going to be the prime controllers of blood pressure. Blood pressure is just the pressure of blood against those vessel walls. They're going to serve as the gatekeeper to the capillary networks, keeping them either opened or closed. And they do this by responding to hormones, the nervous system, and local conditions. So the arterioles are receiving messages from a lot of different places, and they help regulate not just blood flow, but blood exchange in the capillary networks. The capillaries. The capillaries are going to be our place of primary exchange. These are microscopic blood vessels that connect the arterioles and the venules, the site of the exchange of materials between blood and the body cells. Now, in order to do this, they do this by having very, very thin vessel walls. So the vessel walls of a capillary are only 1 cell thick. This allows for the rapid exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide, as well as other nutrients and materials. These are going to be very, very thin and incredibly highly branched. This is going to provide enormous surface area for exchange. Exchange occurs through endothelial cells, so across the plasma membranes, or through slits in between these cells. Blood is going to flow very, very slowly through the capillaries. This allows for more time for the exchange of materials. So like I said, the walls of the capillaries are made of only endothelium. They form capillary beds where they can exchange gas, nutrients, and waste. And they have precapillary sphincters. Those precapillary sphincters are controlled by the arterioles that are going to regulate the amount of blood flow through the capillaries. We'll see that in just a moment. So here is our artery, our capillaries, and our veins. The arterioles branch off the arteries and have these precapillary sphincters that can open and close and control blood flow through the capillaries. Venules are going to be found on the other side, carrying the blood back to the veins and then back into the heart. So venules, like I said, are going to be those small veins that receive blood from the capillaries. They're going to carry that blood back towards the heart. Venules and vein walls have the same 3 layers as arteries. They have much less smooth muscle in the middle layer to help control blood flow. Veins that carry the blood against gravity have valves. This keeps blood flowing towards the heart. So blood can go only in one direction, keeps it from draining backwards down your body with the flow of gravity. The walls of the veins are thinner than arteries, so they can expand to hold more blood. At any one time, they store 70% of the blood. If blood is lost, so if you start to hemorrhage, the nervous system is going to cause those veins to constrict to help increase blood volume and decrease blood loss. All right, you should be able to listen and describe the 3 types of blood vessels, describe how each blood vessel contributes to the flow of blood in the body, and explain why the structure of veins is different from that of the arteries.